Grok finds a yellow rock by the river. Shiny, heavy, soft enough to scratch with his hunting knife. He takes it back to the cave, and his woman shapes it into a circle for her neck. The other hunters see it. They want yellow rocks too. Grok goes back to the river every morning. He finds 3 more rocks in a moon cycle. But now Targ offers him 10 rabbit pelts for 1 rock. Grok thinks about this. The rock doesn't feed him, doesn't keep him warm, doesn't sharpen his spear, but Targ will trade valuable pelts for it. Then Mach offers 20 dried fish for the same rock. Then Brun offers his best flint knife. Suddenly, Grok realizes something strange. This useless yellow rock that does nothing is worth more than things that actually keep him alive. And here's the part that should bother you. Nobody cared about yellow rocks until everyone else cared about yellow rocks. The value exists purely because the tribe believes it exists. That's it. That's the entire system we're still living in right now, just with more steps and more lies. I'm going to explain exactly how we got from shiny rocks by the river to chiefs printing promise marks that represent nothing, and why your neighbors are stockpiling gold again in 2026, like it's going to save them from whatever's coming, because it might, or it might not. But understanding why they think it will tells you everything about how the whole system actually works. So let's start simple. Before Grok found that yellow rock, the tribe used direct trade. I kill a deer, you gather berries, we trade. This works fine when I need berries and you need meat. But what happens when I need berries and you already have meat? We need something else. Something everyone wants even when they don't need it right now. Enter the cow. Every cave person needs cows. Milk, meat, leather, labor. So cows become the first bridge. I trade you deer meat for a cow. You trade the cow to someone else for berries later. The cow is money. It moves value through time. You can store your work as a living animal that walks around eating grass until you need to trade it for something else. Smart, right? One problem. Cows die, cows get sick. Cows are hard to split into smaller pieces. You can't pay someone half a cow for a basket of roots. Well, you can, but then you have a dead cow that's going to rot. So the tribe needs something better, something that doesn't die, something you can divide easily. Something that everyone agrees has value even though it doesn't actually do anything useful. That's where Grok's yellow rock comes in. This rock, this gold, it has some interesting properties. First, it doesn't rot, ever. You can bury it in the ground for 20 winters and dig it up and it looks exactly the same. Second, it's soft enough to shape but heavy enough to feel valuable. Third, and this is the key part, there's not that much of it. You can't just walk outside and find gold everywhere. It's rare, but not so rare that nobody has any. It's in that perfect zone where there's enough to trade, but not enough to make it worthless. And fourth, it catches the light like nothing else. It shines like the sun. The tribe finds this beautiful. They want to wear it. They want to look at it. They want to own it. So even though gold doesn't feed you or clothe you or shelter you, everyone wants it. And because everyone wants it, you can trade it for things that actually do feed and clothe and shelter you. The belief creates the value. The value reinforces the belief. Round and round. This works for thousands of winters. Tribes across all the lands discover gold independently and start using it the same way. Some put it on their chiefs, some put it on their gods, some put it in their teeth. But everyone agrees it's valuable. Everyone agrees you can trade it for real things. The system runs on pure collective belief. No chief enforces it, no law requires it. The tribe just believes, and that belief is enough. Then the system grows. The tribes get bigger. They become villages. The villages become territories. The territories become empires. And suddenly we have a problem. There's a lot of gold now, scattered across many caves, many tribes, many lands. Too heavy to move around easily. If I want to trade with someone 3 mountains away, I have to physically carry my gold there. This is dangerous. Bandits on the road, accidents, loss. So someone, probably someone who already has a lot of gold, comes up with a clever solution. He says, "Bring me your gold. I'll keep it safe in my cave. My cave has thick walls and guards. I'll give you a mark on a stone, or later a mark on animal skin, that says you own this much gold. You can trade the mark. The mark is easier to carry. If you want your gold back, bring me the mark and I'll give you the gold. The tribe thinks about this. It makes sense. The marks are lighter, safer to travel with, harder to steal if you hide them well. So the tribe starts using marks instead of gold. Now we're one more step removed from reality. We went from cows, which are real and useful, to gold, which is real but useless, to marks that represent gold, which aren't even real. But it still works because everyone believes the man with the cave will honor the marks. The belief is chained now. I believe the mark represents gold. I believe the gold has value. I believe I can trade the gold for food. 3 layers of belief, but it holds. Here's the first escalation. The man with the cave, let's call him the keeper, he looks at all the gold sitting in his storage cave and he has a thought. Most people never come to claim their gold. They just trade the marks back and forth. The gold just sits here doing nothing. What if I issue more marks than I actually have gold for? Nobody will know. As long as not everyone comes at once asking for their gold, I can create marks out of nothing and lend them to people who need to trade. They'll even pay me back more marks than I lent them. I'll charge interest. The keeper starts doing this. He issues 100 marks but only has 80 gold rocks backing them. Then 150 marks backed by 80 gold rocks. Then 200. The system is fine as long as everyone keeps believing and doesn't rush to his cave all at once, demanding gold. This, by the way, is exactly how your bank works right now. They don't have your money. They have some of your money. They lent the rest to other people and are hoping you don't all ask for it back at the same time. Because if you do, they collapse. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the openly acknowledged design of the banking system. It's called fractional reserve banking. It works great until it doesn't. Second escalation. Empires rise. These empires need gold to fund their wars, their monuments, their expansion. They start raiding other lands specifically for gold. The Spanish land in the Americas in 1519. They meet the Aztecs. The Aztecs have gold everywhere, in their temples, on their warriors, in their art. But the Aztecs aren't using gold as money. They're using it as decoration, as worship, as status. It's pretty. It honors the gods. The Spanish see this and their brains break. To them, gold is money. Gold is wealth. Gold is power. They see rooms full of it and they go insane. One conquistador literally writes, "We suffer from a disease of the heart that only gold can cure." They massacre the Aztecs. They take every piece of gold they can find. They melt down the masks, the statues, the ceremonial objects. They turn art into uniform chunks. They stamp the chunks with their empire's mark. They ship it back across the ocean. The Aztecs valued gold for beauty. The Spanish valued gold for trade. Same rock, different belief system. The Spanish belief won because the Spanish had guns and diseases. Over the next century, the Spanish and other European empires tear across the Americas hunting for gold. They follow rumors of golden cities. El Dorado. 7 cities of gold. Most of these are myths. Most pirates, despite what the stories tell you, never found treasure chests of gold. They stole boring cargo like lumber and sugar. But the myth drove behavior. The belief in gold's value was so strong it moved entire populations across oceans into unknown danger. Men died in frozen mountains in Canada in the 1890s, panning rivers for gold. Men died in the California desert in 1849 doing the same. Gold fever. Literal psychological sickness triggered by the possibility of getting rich from yellow rocks. This tells you something important about human beings. We will do absolutely insane things for abstract value. We'll cross oceans. We'll kill. We'll die. All for rocks that don't feed us, or warm us, or heal us, just because everyone else agrees those rocks are valuable. Third escalation. By the 1900s, most big tribes, now called countries, are on something called the gold standard. This means their marks, their paper money, is officially backed by gold in their chief's cave. In the United States, you could walk into a bank with a $20 mark and demand 1 ounce of gold. The bank had to give it to you. The system was locked. Every paper mark represented real gold somewhere. This created a problem. When the tribe goes through hard times, when the hunts fail, when winter lasts too long, the chiefs want to help. They want to issue more marks so people can trade more, spend more, start more work. But they can't, because every mark needs gold backing it. And there's only so much gold. The gold supply is fixed by nature. You can't just create more gold. You have to dig it out of the ground, which is slow and hard. So in 1933, after a long, terrible winter called the Great Depression, the chief of the United States does something dramatic. He says, "Citizens, you need to give me your gold, all of it. Bring your gold rocks to my cave. I'll give you paper marks in exchange. And from now on, you can't trade these marks for gold anymore. The marks are just marks. They represent my promise that they're worth something. That's it." The tribe is confused. Some are angry, but the chief has warriors and laws. So they comply. They hand over their gold. Now the chief's cave is full of gold, but the gold doesn't back the marks anymore. The marks are backed by belief in the chief. This is called fiat currency. Fiat means by decree. The marks have value because the chief says they do, not because they represent gold. Not because they represent anything real, just because the chief says so. And as long as everyone believes the chief, it works. Fourth escalation. By 1971, even the fiction of gold backing is gone internationally. The United States told other tribes, other countries, that they could trade their paper marks for gold from the big chief's cave. But the United States printed too many marks. They spent too much on wars, on projects, on promises. Other countries noticed. France literally sent a warship to New York Harbor and said, "Give us our gold, you promised." The United States looked at how many marks were out there and how much gold was in the cave and did the math. They couldn't honor the promise. So the chief at the time, a man named Nixon, went on the Talking Stone, the television, and said, "We're done. No more gold trades. The marks are just marks now. Trust us." And somehow, the world did. Because by that point, everyone was so used to using United States marks, called dollars, that changing would be harder than just continuing to believe. The empire was strong, the warriors were powerful, the economy was big, so other countries said, "Fine, we'll keep using your marks." But now the marks aren't backed by gold. They're backed by belief in the empire's stability and power. That's it. Think about that. The money you use every day to buy food and shelter and everything else is not backed by gold or silver or cows or anything physical. It's backed by collective belief that the empire issuing it won't collapse. As long as everyone believes, the system works. The moment that belief cracks, everything breaks. Now here's the kicker. Who controls how many marks get created? The chief has a special cave called the central bank. In the United States, it's called the Federal Reserve. 12 members sit in this cave and decide how many marks should exist. Should we create more marks to help the tribe trade more? Should we reduce marks to keep prices stable? They pull invisible levers. They change the cost of borrowing marks, which they call interest rates. When they lower the cost, more tribe members borrow marks and spend them. The economy grows. When they raise the cost, fewer people borrow. The economy slows. These 12 people, none of them elected by the tribe, control the entire value system. They can create marks out of nothing by simply saying so. In 2008, when the big hunt failed, when many tribe members lost their caves, the central bank created 700 billion marks out of nothing to keep the system from collapsing. In 2020, during the sickness winter, they created 4 trillion marks. 4 trillion. That's 4 million million. They didn't dig up gold, they didn't gather resources, they simply declared the marks into existence. And because everyone still believed in the system, those marks had value. The tribe accepted them. Prices went up later because there were more marks chasing the same amount of real things, but the system didn't break. Not yet. Let me give you a real example with actual numbers to make this concrete. Meet a tribe member named Robert. Robert is 65 winters old. He spent 40 winters working. He saved 300,000 marks in paper for his old age. In 2020, before the sickness winter, those 300,000 marks could buy him a small cave in a decent part of the territory for about 250,000 marks. That left him 50,000 marks for food and fire and healing. Then the central bank created 4 trillion new marks. More marks means each mark is worth less real stuff. By 2023, That same cave cost 400,000 marks. Robert's 300,000 marks are no longer enough. He can't buy the cave. His lifetime of work just lost 25% of its value, not because he did anything wrong, because the chiefs decided to create more marks, which made all existing marks worth less. This is called inflation. The chiefs say inflation is running at 3%. Robert knows his costs went up by way more than 3%. His food costs more. His healing costs more. His fire costs more. But the official number says 3%. The chiefs measure inflation using a basket of goods that doesn't match what real tribe members actually buy. They adjust the formula when convenient. Robert can't do anything about this. He can't vote the central bank members out. They're appointed, not elected. He just has to accept that his stored work is worth less. Unless he does something different. Unless he moves some of his stored work back into something that can't be created out of nothing by chiefs. Something like gold. So gold is having what the Talking Stones call a comeback. But really, it never left. The chiefs still hoard it. The United States has 8,000 tons of gold in that deep cave in Kentucky. Other countries have thousands more tons. They keep it even though their marks aren't backed by it anymore. Why? Because they know. They know that if everything breaks, if the belief system collapses, if the marks become worthless, gold will still be gold. It can't be created by decree. It can't be printed. It just exists, rare and shiny and universally recognized for thousands of winters. When tribe members stop trusting the chiefs, they buy gold. When they worry the chiefs are creating too many marks, they buy gold. When they see the empire fighting with other empires, they buy gold. Gold becomes insurance against the belief system failing. Right now, in early 2026, gold is trading at around 2,900 marks per ounce. That's the highest it's ever been in paper mark terms. Why? Because the new chief is unpredictable. He threatens other tribes with trade barriers one day, removes them the next, threatens them again. He attacks the central bank, says he wants to control it directly. This makes tribe members nervous. If the chief controls the central bank directly, he can create as many marks as he wants, for whatever he wants. The marks will be worth even less, so people buy gold. They're moving their belief from paper marks backed by nothing to physical rocks that have been valuable for thousands of winters. They're going backwards on the belief chain, from fiat currency to gold. Some tribe members are going even further back. They're buying something called Bitcoin. This is like gold, but it exists in the smoke. In the digital realm, you can't hold it. You can't touch it. It's just numbers in a shared counting system that no chief controls. Bitcoin believers say it's better than gold because you can move it instantly across any distance, and there will only ever be 21 million coins. Ever. No chief can create more. The code prevents it. Gold believers say Bitcoin is too new, too untested, too dependent on the lightning rocks and counting machines working. If the power goes out, Bitcoin disappears. Gold is still gold. Both groups agree on one thing: they don't trust the chiefs with the marks anymore. One of the tribe elders told me a story about his father. Back in 1933, when the chief demanded everyone turn in their gold, his father was a farmer. He had 20 gold coins hidden in his barn, worth about 400 marks at the time. The chief said, "Turn in your gold or face punishment." His father thought about it. He could use 400 marks right now. Times were hard, but something felt wrong about giving up the gold. So he buried 15 coins in a metal box under the stone foundation of the barn and turned in 5 to avoid trouble. Fast forward to 2000. The farmer was dead. The son, now an old man himself, was clearing out the farm to sell it. He found the metal box, 15 gold coins. In 2000, gold was trading at around 280 marks per ounce. Those 15 coins were worth about 4,200 marks. Not a fortune, but significant. By 2024, gold hit 2,400 marks per ounce. Those same 15 coins were worth 36,000 marks. His father's buried gold had multiplied in paper mark terms by 90 times over 70 years. The paper marks his father could have held in 1933 would have lost most of their value to inflation over the same period. 400 marks in 1933 had the buying power of about 9,000 modern marks today. But the gold went from 400 to 36,000. The gold preserved the work. The marks didn't. That's the entire argument for gold in one family story. But here's where it gets funny. Two tribe members are arguing by the fire. First one says gold is useless. You can't eat it, can't burn it for warmth. It just sits there looking pretty. Why would I trade real goods for a rock that does nothing? Second one says, exactly. That's why it works. Because it does nothing, it can't break. Food rots. Caves crumble. Marks lose value when chiefs print more. But gold is gold forever. First one says, but the chiefs could just take it again like they did in 1933. Second one says, sure, but at least they'd have to physically take it. They can't just make my gold worth less by creating more gold with a decree. With marks, they steal from me invisibly. With gold, they'd have to break into my cave. That's the whole debate right there. Both sides are correct, depending on what you're afraid of. So let's bring this back to where we started. Grok finds a yellow rock by the river. The tribe decides it's valuable because everyone else thinks it's valuable. They trade it for real goods. Then they create marks that represent the rock. Then they abandon the rock entirely and just use marks backed by nothing but belief in the chief. Then the chiefs abuse the mark creation power and tribe members start buying the yellow rocks again as insurance. We've gone full circle, from gold to paper to gold. Thousands of winters of monetary evolution and we're back where we started, wondering if shiny rocks are the most honest form of money we've got. The system we have now, the fiat system, the marks backed by nothing, works as long as the tribe believes. The moment that belief falters, everything reprices back to things that can't be created by decree. Gold, silver, land, food, tools, real stuff. We're not at that moment yet. The marks still work. You can still trade them for real goods, but the cracks are showing. The chiefs are fighting with each other. They're creating marks faster than ever. Other empires are trying to replace the current chiefs' marks with their own marks. The tribe is nervous, and when the tribe gets nervous, they buy gold. Here's what you should actually do with this information. First, understand that all money is belief. Whether it's gold or paper or Bitcoin or whatever comes next, it only works if enough people agree it works. Your job is to figure out which belief system is most likely to persist through whatever's coming. For most of my winters, that's probably still going to be paper marks because that's what the tribe uses every day. But having some gold, maybe 10 to 20% of your stored work, gives you insurance against the belief in marks failing. You're diversifying your belief. Second, don't trust the chiefs when they tell you how well the system is working. They measure things in ways that benefit them. They change definitions when convenient. Your lived experience of prices and cost is more accurate than their official numbers. If you feel poor despite them saying everything is fine, trust your feeling. You're probably right. Third, understand that the system is designed to slowly take your stored work through inflation. A little bit every winter. Not enough to make you revolt. Just enough to keep you working and keep you from accumulating too much power relative to the chiefs. Gold is one way to resist this, not the only way. Land works, tools work, skills work. Anything they can't create out of nothing works. But gold is the most traditional, most liquid, most universally recognized option. That's why people keep coming back to it. The cave is getting cold. The fire is burning down. In the morning, the yellow rock will still be yellow. It will still be heavy. It will still be shiny. It will still be rare. It will still be useless for anything practical. And tribe members will still want it because everyone else wants it. Because it's one of the few things the chiefs can't create with a decree. Nature made all the gold that will ever exist billions of winters ago in exploding stars. The chiefs can't change that. They can only try to control who owns it and what the tribe believes about it. That's the game. That's always been the game. Whether you play with gold or marks or Bitcoin or cows, you're playing the same game. The game of collective belief. The game of stored work. The game of making sure that what you have today can be traded for what you need tomorrow. Gold is just the oldest, simplest, shiniest version of that game. And judging by the price right now, a lot of people think it's the most honest version too.